Rihanna. Her name is known all over the world. Her music, her beauty, and her fierce presence have made her one of the most powerful women in entertainment. But behind the glitz, the glam, and the millions of followers, Rihanna's life is filled with secrets, drama, and shocking moments that the public rarely sees. What if I told you that some of the most jaw-dropping moments of Rihanna's career have been kept hidden from the public eye? What if I revealed the shocking truths behind her meteoric rise, her controversies, and her battles with the dark side of fame? Stay with me as we uncover the most shocking, hidden details of Rihanna's life, things that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about the queen of pop culture. The early struggles, from humble beginnings to the spotlight. Rihanna was not always the glamorous megastar we know today. Born on February 20th, 1988, in the small town of St. Michael, Barbados, Robin Rihanna Fenty entered the world with the odds stacked against her. In a country far removed from the glitzy world of fame and fortune, Rihanna was born into a family where struggles were a part of daily life. Her father, Ronald Fenty, battled a crippling addiction to crack cocaine, and her mother, Monica Fenty, worked tirelessly to make ends meet. Yet despite the financial strain and emotional turmoil surrounding her, Rihanna harbored an unshakable belief that there was something greater waiting for her. She didn't just want to escape her circumstances. She dreamed of a life where she could change the world, inspire millions, and become a beacon of hope for those who felt powerless. But growing up in the rough neighborhoods of Barbados, Rihanna's early years were far from glamorous. Her childhood was marked by constant tension and chaos. Her father's addiction meant that he was often absent, and when he was around, he was abusive and unreliable. Monica, Rihanna's mother, struggled to keep the family afloat, working multiple jobs to provide for her 3 children. Despite the challenges at home, Rihanna found solace in her voice. Music became her escape, a way to shield herself from the harsh realities of her life. At just 16 years old, Rihanna's life was about to take a dramatic turn. While her classmates were preoccupied with their schoolwork and teenage years, Rihanna's focus was always set on something bigger. She had a voice that was both haunting and powerful, with a raw quality that few could ignore. One day, a chance encounter would change everything. Rihanna met Evan Rogers, a U.S. music producer who was visiting Barbados. Rogers, who had worked with international artists before, was struck by Rihanna's natural talent as soon as he heard her sing. To many, it was just another opportunity for a young girl with big dreams. But to Rihanna, this was a chance of a lifetime, an opportunity to escape the limited future she saw for herself in the streets of Barbados. Without hesitation, Rihanna took the leap. She left her family behind, crossed the ocean to New York, and entered a world she could hardly imagine. New York City, a sprawling metropolis full of ambition and opportunity, would become her new battleground. But this wasn't the fairy tale many imagined. Rihanna was not walking into the lap of luxury. She was stepping into a cold and unfamiliar world. For Rihanna, the first few months in the United States were nothing like she had imagined. Alone in a foreign city with no support system, she found herself struggling with culture shock, loneliness, and the overwhelming feeling of being small in a city that never slept. The dream she had carried from Barbados suddenly felt distant, and the weight of her new reality was heavy on her shoulders. For the first time in her life, she was without her family, without the familiar faces of friends, and without the warmth of home. There were nights when she would lie awake in her hotel room, staring at the ceiling, wondering if this was the right path for her. The pressure was immense. She had nothing but her talent and her dreams, but that alone was starting to feel insufficient. Even more daunting was the financial instability she faced. While she had come to New York with nothing but hope and a few demo tapes, the reality of living in one of the world's most expensive cities set in quickly. The city was a symbol of endless opportunity, but Rihanna was a stranger, a girl far from her island home, struggling to make a name for herself. It was a far cry from the glittering life she had imagined. But despite the overwhelming sense of isolation, Rihanna refused to give up. Her ambition was her lifeline. Every rejection, every lonely night, every doubt she faced only made her more determined. The world she entered was unforgiving, but Rihanna was determined to prove she belonged. She was ready to fight for her dreams no matter the cost. Then in 2005, Rihanna's life changed again, but this time it was for the better. She had been recording demos with Evan Rogers, who believed in her ability, but had yet to secure a major deal. They went to Def Jam Recordings, where Rihanna's fate took an unexpected turn. It was the legendary Jay-Z, the president of Def Jam, who saw the potential in the young singer. He was immediately captivated by her voice, her energy, and the sheer power she brought to the room. Jay-Z was no stranger to discovering talent, but something about Rihanna stood out. He signed her to the label on the spot. Her debut single, Pon de Replay, hit the charts with a force that stunned the music world. The track became an instant hit, and Rihanna, the young girl from Barbados, found herself thrust into the global spotlight. The world had just discovered a new star, and it was Rihanna who was shining the brightest. But with success came pressure, and Rihanna quickly learned that fame was not as glamorous as it seemed. Almost overnight, Rihanna's life transformed. She was no longer the unknown teenager from a small Caribbean island. She was a superstar with millions of eyes watching her every move. Pon de Replay wasn't just a chart topper, it was the beginning of an era. But as the fame escalated, so did the challenges. Rihanna had barely been able to adjust to life in the US. When she was thrust into a whirlwind of media attention, public expectations, and the grueling demands of a pop star, the transition was difficult. Rihanna had always been private about her life, and the sudden scrutiny was overwhelming. Everywhere she went, there were cameras, reporters, and fans trying to get a glimpse of her. She was a global sensation, but she wasn't prepared for the emotional toll this fame would take on her. In those early days, Rihanna found herself struggling with the pressures of her newfound stardom. She was young, vulnerable, and thrust into an industry that could be both exhilarating and crushing. There were times when she wanted to disappear, to take a break from the chaos that had become her life. But the fire in her heart kept her going. She had made it this far, and there was no turning back now. Despite the emotional challenges, Rihanna's career continued to soar. Her debut album, Music of the Sun, followed by A Girl Like Me, solidified her place in the industry. Hits like Umbrella, which was released in 2007, turned her into a global icon. But her rise wasn't just due to her talent. It was also because of her ability to reinvent herself constantly. She was no longer just a teen pop sensation. She had evolved into a versatile artist with a voice that could touch the hearts of millions. Each album she released seemed to push the boundaries of what was expected from her. And soon Rihanna was no longer just a singer. She was a cultural force. She had overcome the isolation, the loneliness, and the heartache. And now she was standing at the pinnacle of the music industry. However, Rihanna's greatest challenges were still ahead of her. As her career flourished, so did the expectations from her fans and the media. But one thing was clear. Rihanna was no longer the shy, uncertain girl who had boarded that flight to New York all those years ago. She had become an unstoppable force, a woman with a voice that resonated far beyond the world of music. This was just the beginning of Rihanna's journey, a story filled with unexpected twists, painful lessons, and moments of triumph that would change the course of her life forever. The world was just beginning to see what she was capable of, and no one, not even Rihanna herself, could predict the magnitude of her rise. Chapter 2. The Chris Brown Incident, the shocking domestic violence scandal. It's 2009, and the world was on the edge of its seat, waiting for the Grammy Awards, the glittering celebration of music that always promised dazzling performances, unforgettable moments, and triumphs for the brightest stars in the industry. But no one could have predicted what would unfold just hours before Rihanna was set to grace the stage. Rihanna, at the peak of her career, was a symbol of success, beauty, and strength. She had conquered the charts, won countless accolades, and was universally adored. Her relationship with fellow singer Chris Brown, who was also at the height of his fame, seemed like a fairy tale. They were the young power couple everyone envied, often spotted together at red carpets, concerts, and even private moments. But the fairy tale was about to crumble in the most public, devastating way. On the night before the 2009 Grammy Awards, Rihanna was violently assaulted by Chris Brown in a shocking and horrific turn of events. The details of that night remain ingrained in the collective memory of millions. After an argument between the two in a car, Chris Brown reportedly struck Rihanna repeatedly, leaving her bloodied and bruised. The images of Rihanna's battered face shown across the media in the days that followed left the world in utter disbelief. The vibrant, confident woman who had conquered the stage was now a victim of domestic violence. The emotional and physical scars Rihanna carried after that night were profound. But the world didn't just see the bruises. They saw her as a victim, a woman who had been hurt by someone she loved. In the eyes of the public, it was impossible to reconcile the image of the talented, glamorous Rihanna with the bruised, broken woman they now saw on the news. The question everyone asked was, how could this happen to someone like Rihanna? A pop icon with everything to lose was now thrust into a personal nightmare that no one could have predicted. What people didn't realize was the immense internal battle Rihanna faced in the aftermath of the assault. Beyond the physical injuries, there was the overwhelming emotional torment. She was forced to come to terms with the fact that someone she trusted, someone she loved, had not only betrayed her but also violently hurt her. But even more painful was the scrutiny she faced from the public and the media. The world wasn't just watching her physical recovery, it was judging her every decision, every reaction. The media, which had once celebrated her as a rising star, now seemed to delight in her pain. They sensationalized the story, turning her trauma into headlines, constantly asking why she hadn't left Chris Brown, or why she hadn't spoken out sooner. Rihanna was caught in an excruciating dilemma. Should she fight back in the media, revealing the truth of her experience, or should she remain silent in hopes of mending her personal life privately? The emotional toll of living in the public eye was exhausting. As a woman trying to recover from an unimaginable betrayal, Rihanna was also facing judgment from every angle. The public didn't just want to know how she was healing. They wanted to understand why she hadn't immediately ended her relationship with Chris Brown. The pressure was overwhelming. In many ways, Rihanna was forced to make decisions based on what the public wanted, not what she needed. Her humanity, her pain, and her vulnerability were lost in a media frenzy that demanded answers before she was ready to give them. Yet, despite the overwhelming emotional and psychological weight she was carrying, Rihanna made a decision that stunned everyone. She chose to forgive Chris Brown. She knew the world was watching, and that her choice would be scrutinized from every angle. But what many failed to understand was that forgiveness wasn't about excusing the violence or the betrayal. It was about reclaiming her power. Rihanna's decision to forgive Chris Brown was not one made lightly. To forgive someone who had hurt you so deeply, someone you had loved, was one of the hardest decisions anyone could make. It was not about pretending the assault had never happened or minimizing the damage it caused. No, it was a step toward healing, a step toward reclaiming her own peace and self-worth. The backlash was instantaneous. Critics, fans, and even her closest supporters questioned her decision. Why forgive him? They asked. Why not stand up and leave him for good? In the eyes of many, Rihanna had failed to meet their expectations of what a strong woman should do. But the truth was that Rihanna wasn't just fighting the world's opinions, she was fighting for her own peace of mind. Forgiveness was her way of breaking free from the shackles of anger and resentment. It was her way of showing the world that her strength was not defined by how others saw her. It was defined by how she chose to move forward, no matter how painful the journey. But this wasn't the end of her healing process. Rihanna would have to face her own demons, work through the emotional scars left by that night, and ultimately find a way to take control of her narrative again. The pain of the incident didn't just disappear. There were days when Rihanna was overwhelmed by the memories of what had happened. But the lessons she learned in that time would shape the trajectory of her career and her life. It wasn't just about music or fame anymore. It was about rediscovering her voice, reclaiming her identity, and healing the parts of herself that had been broken. In the aftermath of the assault, Rihanna began working on her fourth studio album, Rated R. The album would become her most raw and personal work to date. With songs like Russian Roulette, Cold Case Love, and The Last Song, Rihanna laid bare her vulnerability, her pain, and her struggle to heal. Rated R was a sonic declaration of resilience, a rejection of the fairy tale persona the public had tried to impose on her. It was her chance to tell the world that she was no longer the girl they thought they knew. She was a woman who had been through the fire and come out stronger on the other side. The album's dark, rebellious tone was a reflection of Rihanna's journey from victim to survivor. Rated R wasn't just an album. It was a manifesto of strength, pain, and emotional rebirth. It showcased a side of Rihanna that no one had ever seen before, vulnerable, fearless, and unapologetic. This was the moment when Rihanna began to evolve into the icon she would become. No longer bound by expectations or the opinions of others, she became a woman who was willing to confront her fears, embrace her imperfections, and transform her pain into power. From that point forward, Rihanna's journey was one of constant reinvention. She had been broken, but in her brokenness she found a new strength. The scars of the past would never fully fade, but they would become a part of her story, a story of resilience, forgiveness, and power. Rihanna's rise from the scandal wasn't just about her career. It was about reclaiming her life, her peace, and her own identity. Her comeback was one of the most powerful in the history of modern pop music, and her story continues to inspire millions around the world. In the years that followed, Rihanna would go on to achieve even greater success. She would become a global entrepreneur, a fashion mogul, and a philanthropist. But the lessons of that painful chapter in her life would never leave her. Instead, they would guide her forward as she continued to break barriers, shatter expectations, and become a true symbol of resilience. Chapter 3: The Price of Fame. Mental health struggles and the fight for privacy. As Rihanna's fame reached its zenith, so did the mounting pressure that came with it. To the public, she was no longer just an artist. She was an icon, a figure whose every move was under constant scrutiny. Her image was carefully crafted to portray an almost flawless persona, a confident, radiant, and unshakable woman who had it all. But what the world didn't see was the mental toll the relentless pressure was taking on her. At the peak of her success, Rihanna was living in the spotlight. Every tweet she posted, every outfit she wore, every relationship she entered, nothing was off limits to the prying eyes of the media. Fans adored her, critics analyzed her, and the tabloids thrived on sensationalizing her personal life. The insecurities, the anxiety, the loneliness, all of this went unnoticed behind the glamorous red carpets and sold-out concerts. Rihanna, though a global superstar, felt more isolated than ever. Behind the glitz and glamour, Rihanna was struggling. The intense media attention and public expectation were wearing her down. She was constantly bombarded with rumors and negative press, and despite being surrounded by thousands of adoring fans, she often felt utterly alone. The weight of the public's gaze, combined with the pressure to always perform and maintain a perfect image, left her questioning her worth and purpose. Her mental health began to deteriorate in ways the public couldn't fully comprehend. She later opened up about her struggles with anxiety, depression, and moments of deep self-doubt. The image of the fearless woman on stage, exuding confidence and strength, was at odds with the woman behind the scenes, someone fighting for peace and privacy. What many didn't realize was that Rihanna had become a prisoner of her own fame, constantly at the mercy of the expectations placed on her. She wasn't just battling the pressures of fame. She was fighting for the right to reclaim her life, her privacy, and her identity. But how could she escape when every moment of her existence was documented, critiqued, and often distorted? The invasion of her personal life became a daily reality, and it took a massive toll on her mental well-being. In 2016, after years of performing under the intense scrutiny of the public eye, Rihanna suddenly disappeared. To the world, it seemed as though she had fallen out of the spotlight. Her fans, who were used to her regular updates on social media and constant releases of new projects, were left in the dark, wondering why she had seemingly vanished. The tabloids were abuzz with speculation. Had she retired? Was she struggling with burnout? But in reality, Rihanna wasn't running away from her career. She was running towards something more important: her mental health. Rihanna's break wasn't just a vacation, it was a much-needed sabbatical. She took time off to reconnect with herself, to step away from the glaring spotlight, and to heal from the emotional and psychological weight she had been carrying for years. This was her chance to rediscover who she truly was beyond the persona of Rihanna, the global superstar. During this time, Rihanna was forced to face her own vulnerabilities and learn how to navigate the demands of fame while still protecting her own well-being. But this period of self-reflection wasn't just about retreating from the world. It was about rebuilding herself from the inside out. Rihanna needed to understand what truly mattered to her, what she wanted her future to look like, and how she could continue to live authentically without sacrificing her mental health. Her break would be the turning point in her career, a time when she didn't just focus on herself but also shifted her attention towards something that would change the game: business. When Rihanna re-emerged from her hiatus, she came back with a bang, but not just through music. In 2017, she launched Fenty Beauty, her own cosmetics brand which would forever alter the beauty industry. At first glance, it might have seemed like another celebrity-driven line, but Rihanna's approach was unlike anything the world had seen before. Fenty Beauty wasn't just about selling makeup. It was about celebrating diversity, empowerment, and inclusivity. Rihanna was deeply frustrated by the lack of representation in the beauty world. For years, women of color had been underserved by major cosmetics companies, with limited shades that didn't cater to all skin tones. This gap in the market was obvious to Rihanna, and she made it her mission to correct it. Fenty Beauty was a direct response to the industry's blind spots. It launched with 40 shades of foundation, ensuring that everyone could find their perfect match. The beauty world was stunned. The inclusivity of the brand was revolutionary. Fenty Beauty didn't just cater to women with lighter skin tones. It celebrated every woman from the fairest to the darkest, making it clear that no one was excluded. It wasn't about selling makeup for profit. It was about creating a brand that made women feel seen, valued, and empowered. Her move shocked the world, not just because of the success of Fenty Beauty, but because it showed the world the depth of Rihanna's vision, a vision that extended beyond the realm of music into areas that could directly impact culture and society. She wasn't just a pop star. She was an entrepreneur, a trailblazer, and an activist. Her ability to turn her personal struggles into opportunities for empowerment was one of the most inspiring aspects of her journey. Rihanna's pivot from being a global pop icon to a business mogul was nothing short of extraordinary. Fenty Beauty became one of the most successful beauty brands in the world, making billions and dominating the industry. But this was just the beginning. Rihanna expanded her empire with her Savage X Fenty lingerie line, which continued the theme of inclusivity, creating pieces for women of all shapes, sizes, and backgrounds. Once again, she was making waves not just in fashion and beauty, but in the very notion of what it means to be beautiful. Her journey was more than just a story of a pop star becoming a business mogul. It was a tale of resilience, transformation, and the power of taking control of your own narrative. Rihanna wasn't just creating brands. She was creating movements, changing the way the world saw beauty, success, and identity. Her success wasn't just about selling products. It was about empowering people, especially women, to take pride in who they were no matter their shape, color, or background. Rihanna's story became a symbol of hope, a reminder that even in the face of adversity, you can not only survive but thrive and make a lasting impact on the world. Chapter 4: The Fenty Empire. Shocking success beyond music. Rihanna's world of music, glamour, and fame had already made her a household name. But in 2017, she decided to take her talents to an entirely new frontier: business. While many saw Rihanna as a pop superstar, she was about to show the world that her talents went far beyond music and entertainment. It all began with Fenty Beauty, the makeup line that would completely revolutionize the beauty industry. Launched with great fanfare, Fenty Beauty wasn't just another celebrity-branded product line. It was a game changer. Rihanna understood the one glaring issue that many beauty brands had long ignored: inclusivity. For years, women of color had been left out of the conversation, especially when it came to finding foundations that matched their skin tones. But Rihanna, with her unique understanding of diversity, tackled that head-on. The brand's most groundbreaking feature was its foundation line, which launched with 40 shades, a number so unprecedented that it immediately set the beauty industry abuzz. This wasn't just a business move, it was a bold declaration. Rihanna wasn't just launching a beauty line for profit. She was launching it to make a statement, to show the world that beauty is universal, and every person, regardless of their skin color, should be able to find products that make them feel seen and valued. The shock was evident. The industry, which had often been criticized for its lack of diversity, could no longer ignore the glaring gap. Fenty Beauty not only dominated sales but changed the beauty landscape, forcing other brands to rethink their strategies. The most shocking part of Rihanna's rise in the beauty industry wasn't just her financial success, though. It was her ability to make beauty more accessible, authentic, and inclusive. Women of all colors, shapes, and sizes suddenly felt represented, and this was a defining moment for both Rihanna and the industry. Her influence was undeniable. With a single line of makeup, she had transformed how the world saw beauty. But Rihanna didn't stop there. After conquering the beauty world, she took on another industry that had been notoriously difficult to break into: fashion. In 2019, Rihanna achieved something that no one had expected. She became the first Black woman to lead a luxury fashion house under the world-renowned LVMH, Moet Hennessy Louis Vuitton. With the launch of Fenty, her fashion brand, Rihanna had officially become a major player in the world of high-end fashion. At the time, the fashion industry was criticized for its lack of diversity, especially at the high end. There were very few women of color at the helm of major fashion houses, and even fewer who were truly revolutionizing the way fashion was perceived. But Rihanna, known for her boldness and originality, didn't just join the ranks of luxury fashion, she transformed it. Fenty wasn't just another collection of clothes, it was a statement of inclusivity. Rihanna's line catered to all women, with clothing that embraced a wide range of body types from slim to curvy. She challenged the traditional standards of beauty and pushed the boundaries of what the fashion world considered acceptable. By doing so, she created a new definition of luxury fashion, one that celebrated individuality and empowerment. The Fenty brand was not just about selling clothing. It was about giving women the freedom to express themselves in ways that felt authentic to who they were. Rihanna made sure that every piece in the collection could be worn by anyone, regardless of race, size, or gender, and this commitment to diversity made her fashion line an instant success. Just like Fenty Beauty, Fenty was about more than just aesthetics, it was about changing the narrative. As her business ventures continued to rise, Rihanna's role as a global mogul evolved, but she never lost sight of the importance of her activism. She used her newfound wealth and power to support humanitarian and social causes that resonated deeply with her. While many celebrities stayed silent on pressing issues, Rihanna spoke out and used her platform to draw attention to critical matters such as racial injustice, gender inequality, and global poverty. One of the most notable moments of her activism came when she became a vocal supporter of the Black Lives Matter movement, using her voice to shed light on the systemic racism and police brutality faced by Black communities worldwide. Rihanna's commitment to activism wasn't just symbolic. It was deeply personal, grounded in her own experiences growing up in Barbados and her understanding of what it meant to be a Black woman in a world that often overlooked people like her. Through her Clara Lionel Foundation, Rihanna has worked tirelessly to address issues such as global health and education. The foundation has funded efforts to provide emergency response programs and access to education for children in impoverished communities. Rihanna's activism is not just about words, it's about action and using her platform to spark real change. It was through her businesses and platform that Rihanna became not just a pop star, but a voice for the voiceless. She was no longer just influencing through her music. She was influencing through real-world impact, taking tangible steps to make the world a better place. And in doing so, she became not just a mogul but an activist with a purpose. Rihanna's transition from music to business was an unlikely one, but it was nothing short of extraordinary. Her ability to build Fenty Beauty into a multi-billion-dollar empire, followed by her groundbreaking success with Fenty Fashion, was a testament to her ability to defy expectations. But perhaps the most shocking aspect of her success was her ability to empower others. Rihanna didn't just create products or businesses for her own benefit. She used her success to change the lives of countless others. She redefined the fashion and beauty industries by making them more inclusive, more diverse, and more empowering. She showed the world that success is not just about personal achievement, but about lifting others up and celebrating their beauty, their individuality, and their power. Today, Rihanna is a global force, a business mogul, a fashion icon, and a humanitarian. Her Fenty empire is not just a business. It's a reflection of her values and the legacy she wishes to leave behind. With every move, Rihanna continues to defy norms, shatter glass ceilings, and challenge the status quo, proving that she is far more than just a pop star. She is a visionary, a game changer, and a force for good in the world. Chapter 5. The shocking realities of Rihanna's personal life. While Rihanna's career has been a whirlwind of fame, fortune, and incredible accomplishments, it's her personal life that has captured the public's curiosity for years. The world has watched as she navigated through high-profile relationships, emotional struggles, and learned valuable lessons about love, forgiveness, and self-worth. At the heart of this journey is a stark truth. Rihanna's personal life is far more complex than what the tabloids and media often portray. While her relationships with the likes of Chris Brown, Drake, and A$AP Rocky have made headlines, what many fail to see is the emotional depth behind her romantic experiences. Beneath the glamorous exterior of red carpet events, magazine covers, and social media posts, Rihanna has faced heartache, growth, and personal sacrifice that has shaped who she is today. Rihanna's relationship with Chris Brown was one of the most shocking and publicized love stories in entertainment history. Their romance, full of passion and public displays of affection, quickly became a symbol of youthful love. The world was enamored by the idea of this beautiful couple who seemed to have it all. But just as quickly as their relationship seemed perfect, it took a devastating turn in 2009 when Chris Brown assaulted Rihanna, leaving her bruised and battered just before the Grammy Awards. The shocking images of Rihanna's injuries sent shockwaves through the entertainment world, and the media couldn't get enough of the scandal. The public condemned Chris Brown, while others questioned why Rihanna didn't immediately walk away from the relationship. The truth, however, is that Rihanna was not just a victim. She was a woman deeply in love, caught in a tumultuous and emotionally complex relationship. In the aftermath of the assault, Rihanna faced enormous pressure to break her silence, and yet, her emotions remained tangled in the love she still felt for Chris. It was heartbreaking yet incredibly human to witness Rihanna struggling with the internal conflict of wanting to move on while still having deep feelings for someone who had betrayed her. Despite the emotional toll, Rihanna bravely chose to speak about her ordeal, using it as an opportunity to reclaim her voice. She chose to forgive Chris Brown, and her decision was met with criticism and confusion from fans and the media alike. But what many didn't understand was that Rihanna's decision to forgive wasn't a sign of weakness. It was an act of self-healing. This period marked a turning point in Rihanna's life. Not only did she decide to move forward from her toxic relationship with Chris Brown, but she also made peace with her past. The emotional pain, though real, pushed her to delve deeper into herself and gave birth to a new chapter of strength and resilience in her career and personal life. After her turbulent relationship with Chris Brown, Rihanna went on to have a highly publicized on-again, off-again relationship with rapper Drake. Their chemistry was undeniable, and their musical collaborations like Take Care and What's My Name only fueled the speculation about the depth of their connection. While fans were eager to see the two superstars' love story unfold, it became clear that Rihanna and Drake's relationship was far from simple. Despite their obvious affection for each other, the couple was plagued with insecurities, miscommunications, and differing visions for the future. Rihanna had already been through so much in her life, and she wasn't about to compromise her sense of self for anyone, not even Drake. Their relationship, much like her previous one, was a balancing act, trying to make love work in the public eye while protecting her private life. At times, it seemed like they were destined to be together, yet the relationship never fully materialized into something long-term. Rihanna came to the shocking realization that true love isn't about grand gestures or public proclamations. It's about mutual respect, understanding, and emotional security. And though her love for Drake was real, it was not enough to withstand the pressure of their complex personalities and the heavy toll of fame. Through this chapter, Rihanna grew in unexpected ways. She came to understand that it wasn't the fault of any of her partners that the relationship didn't work out. It was about her own journey of self-discovery and learning what she truly wanted in love. She began to realize that at the core of everything, she needed to love herself first before expecting anyone else to do so. It wasn't until Rihanna's relationship with rapper A$AP Rocky that she began to experience a relationship based on mutual respect, trust, and understanding. Though rumors of their romance swirled for years, it was in the mid-2010s that their connection truly blossomed into something deeper. Unlike her previous relationships, A$AP Rocky offered something that Rihanna had been craving: emotional stability. His calm demeanor, humor, and loyalty to her gave Rihanna the peace of mind she had always sought, but never fully attained. Through their partnership, Rihanna finally found a sense of balance between love and independence. Rocky became more than just a romantic partner. He became a support system, a best friend, and a true equal. Their relationship was also deeply rooted in shared values and the ability to be vulnerable together. Rihanna had once believed that being in a relationship meant sacrificing parts of herself. But with Rocky, she realized that love doesn't have to be a struggle. Instead, it can be about building each other up while embracing individuality. Rocky accepted her for who she was, flaws and all. As Rihanna continued to evolve, she began to shift her perspective on relationships as a whole. She no longer saw love as a means of validation or escape. She saw it as a journey of personal growth and mutual support. Through the challenges and heartbreaks, Rihanna had learned how to love herself first, and only then could she offer that love to others. The most shocking aspect of Rihanna's journey through relationships isn't about her partners. It's about how she has learned to love herself. With all the attention on her love life and her emotional struggles, it's easy to forget that Rihanna's true power comes from her inner strength. She has learned to forgive, to heal, and to protect her peace. Self-love became the most important lesson of all. Rihanna's personal life, once defined by struggles and heartbreak, has now become an empowering story of growth, healing, and self-empowerment. In her journey from heartbreak to self-love, she has shown the world that true love begins within. And once she embraced this truth, everything else fell into place. Rihanna has learned that she doesn't need anyone to define her worth. She defines it herself. Through her struggles and triumphs, Rihanna continues to show the world that her story is one of not just survival, but of empowerment. The shocking reality of her personal life is that at the end of the day, Rihanna has become her own greatest love affair. And that is the most shocking and powerful truth of all. Conclusion: Rihanna's shocking legacy. Today, Rihanna's legacy continues to unfold in ways that few could have predicted. Her journey has been filled with shocking moments, but each one has been a testament to her strength, resilience, and ability to overcome adversity. Rihanna's story is far from over. As she continues to break records, disrupt industries, and use her voice for change, one thing is clear: Rihanna's most shocking moments are still yet to come. Did you learn something new about Rihanna's life? What moment shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey through Rihanna's most shocking moments, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more incredible stories. Turn on the bell icon to stay updated.